There's a pandemic. Everyone's facing a grim and lonely holiday season, and now the weather is rubbish too. There's only one Megacan suitable for the situation. Good old Johnnie and Ginger. On this week's show, a saga in Saxony at the Karl May Museum, another trial involving a Nazi called Stephan, and no, you're not allowed Böller either. Mega time!
Good evening, everyone. Yes, this is another episode of Megan's Megacan coming at you on this cold and slightly dark and grey November weekend. I'm Megan, and I'm here with Conrad Werner.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
Good. Glad we've established that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some news. I'm excited, if a little apprehensive. I mean, I probably know what's coming. It's going to be Nazis and Corona, isn't it?
Oh, but I've got a special one this week. Not Nazis or Corona.
Not Nazis or Corona?
Yeah.
But will there also be, in addition to that news item, Nazis and Corona?
Yeah, we'll get up to... Yeah, don't worry. Normal service will be...
Yeah.
Yeah, we will stick to the regular stuff.
It's not like we're creating this. It's not like we have to... Oh, God. Anyway.
Imagine that. Imagine if we recreated the coronavirus just so we could talk about it every week on a podcast. That would be insane.
That would be really weird. It's probably someone who believes that somewhere.
Maybe.
It's the liberal podcasters. They're at fault. Yeah, well, before we start, we'd like to do a little shout out to our good friend and Megacan mega fan, Maisie Hitchcock, who was also on the show a few weeks ago to do a brilliant rundown of Deutsch rap, which I really enjoyed.
That was one of my favourite podcasts.
Probably the best. We should just do that instead. Yeah, and Maisie's also one of the co-hosts on Radio Spätkauf, and she's not very well at the moment. And so we just wanted to wish her a get well soon, and that we hope that she's, sending her a big Megacan hug. But not actual Megacans, because that's probably the worst possible thing you can do for your health. Don't do that.
Yeah, wait till you're better.
Yeah.
Get well soon, Maisie.
Okay, booze-wise, I got a nice one for us this week. I got a Johnnie Walker and Ginger for both of us.
That suggests that you've had a stressful week and you need something comforting that you already know.
100% yes. Yes, it's very cold. I wanted something warm, and ginger is kind of warm. And also, yes, no more shocks and surprises. It's Notenschluss in our school this week.
What does that mean?
That means that the grade deadline has to be in for the older grades. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
So it means basically I will leave all my marking. Oh, that's good.
Oh, lovely.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Scotchy. I basically just leave all my marking to the last minute, and I do it every single time. So now I've been doing this for 9 years, and it's just quite stressful.
You're buried in essays.
I also get things it's basically on Monday, but we tell the students it's today. So I got an email 3:45 today from a student who I will not name, but he sent me, the subject, I don't know what the subject level, but it was just like, hi, I just found this in my bag and realised I didn't hand it in. And it was a scrawled first draft of an essay that was set 6 weeks ago. That he'd taken a really dark picture of and just sent to me. That wasn't assessed, but I don't know what I would do with this.
He expected you to mark a photo of an essay.
He expected to mark a photo. It looked like the essay was still in his bag when he took the photo. It was so dark.
He couldn't even be asked to take out the bag.
Couldn't even be bothered to get the picture to look the right way around, or say, dear teacher lady, or sign off. It was just a single sentence and this picture, which was the wrong way around. And then a follow-up email with a picture of the plan, as if that's going to help.
Oh,
anyway.
Teenagers.
Very, very funny. Teenagers, eh?
Hey.
Anyway, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I have had an interesting week.
Good.
First of all, a saga that has been going on for 6 years finally reached a resolution this week.
I'm excited.
So I'm quite excited about this because it is something I first reported on in 2014. And
that was before I knew about the news in Germany.
Yeah. But believe it or not, there was news. And one of the things that happened one of the things that happened was this, and this is kind of like exciting for me, particularly because I was one of the first people to report it. This is like my Watergate. This is my scoop.
I'm very excited by this.
Because I happen to know the person who instigated it, who's a friend of mine. It's going to take a bit of background.
Go for it.
Have you heard of Karl May?
No.
He is a writer of Wild West stories, one of Germany's most popular writers. I mean, he died quite a while ago. He was like end of the 19th century, early 20th century.
Maybe I have heard of him, but yes, continue.
He wrote these very famous Wild West.
Part of this kind of creepy obsession that Germany has with the Wild West and with Native Americans and why they think it's acceptable for them to...
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Karl May. Karl May is one of the big reasons why they have this.
Yeah.
Why there is this cultural strand of a Wild West interest in Germany, because he was a hugely popular writer in his lifetime, and then after his lifetime, loads of films were made in the 60s and 70s about his stuff. I can even remember when I was a kid reading stuff in German. If you're a German kid, you'll know Karl May. His characters were Winnetou. He was the Native American one.
Oh, I think I've heard of this.
Old Shatterhand was the cowboy.
Shatterhand?
Yeah, Shatterhand. That was the
As
funny
in he
thing.
Shat in her hand?
No. Jesus.
Sorry, am I destroying your nostalgic trip down memory racism lane? Down lane, the old lane of cultural appropriation.
Anyway,
continue.
It's interesting because Karl May never went to the United States in his life.
Why would you need to?
He created this whole mystique and aura about America and the Wild West through these stories that were huge. And so the Karl May Museum is in a place called Radebeul in Saxony, and it's been there for 100 years. And just before it was opened in 1928, a huge Karl May fan donated his entire collection of Native American memorabilia. He travelled all over America. He was an Austrian and an acrobat. He had an acrobat troupe. He travelled around America, and he was a bit of an adventurer himself, but he loved Karl May. And he collected while he was there and traded and got like a load of Native American things. He bequeathed them to the Karl May Museum, which was like set up about that time.
Yeah.
Amongst these things were about 10 or 12 scalps.
Yes, good.
Fast forward nearly 100 years to 6 years ago, 2014.
Yeah.
My friend, who's an American, had married someone from East Germany. He was visiting his in-laws. His in-laws mentioned, oh yeah, you should go to the Karl May Museum. They've got real scalps there. And my friend, being an American, he knew what that meant. Because in America, that is totally illegal. You can't just display real scalps. These are human remains.
Yeah.
This is like a really big deal. Like it's illegal in America because it's a kind of
it's a real like cultural sort of.
It's like people, It's like having real people, like real dead people on display. And my friend was like, "This, what do you mean they've got real scalps?" And he said, "Oh yeah, they've got." He went there the next day and he took these photos. So he got in touch with the repatriation. The Native Americans have repatriation committees and departments that return these things from all over the world. And one of the scalps was identified as being Chippewa by the museum, which is a tribe from Michigan. So he got in touch with them first. And they were like, this is unbelievable. Can't believe that these things are still lying around. So they wrote a letter of complaint, and they said, like, we want this back. And then the museum said, oh, hang on, no. The German museum, they said, no, you can't have it back because A, it's a cultural artifact, and we are a museum of cultural artifacts. And B, we're not actually sure if the story is true and that this is really a Chippewa scalp.
Because we don't actually really know anything about Native American culture. We just have a museum about a white man who literally never saw it.
Yeah. I should mention, actually, we're talking about one scalp out of about 10, and about half of the scalps were of white people.
Yes.
So they weren't all like Native American scalps, but they were like, anyway. So they kind of said, well, yeah, but you've written on your website and in the museum that this is one of our scalps. This is a Chippewa scalp.
Oh, right. So like, how do you know it's Chippewa? I was like, well, we went on your expert website. Oh, no, museum, come on.
And then they said,
God.
Yeah, and then they took down that story off its website.
No!
Because they were like, realised that it was just hearsay. It's just a story by this guy, this that this Austrian acrobat told. He told a story about how he'd gone to visit a reservation, and he'd been in talks with this one guy and this one chief. And this chief said, I had a fight with this other chief and I won this scalp. And this was like kind of his scare, you know? And they realized we don't actually know if it is a Chippewa scalp or who it belongs to. So they did a study. So they agreed, okay, if you don't know where it really comes from, we'll have to do a study. So they did a study. The study took about 3 or 4 years, and they still couldn't decide because there was no evidence. There's no evidence to which tribe this belonged to. But Chippewa said, even though it's not clear who it belongs to, it is clear that it is a Native American scalp, and therefore, it should be given an honorable burial as part of our culture. This is like an important thing. And the museum, this is like 2 years ago, and the museum said no. They said they didn't want to give it back. And this was quite a big story a few years ago. This is because it was quite sweet actually. The stars of the Karl May movies even came out and said, give the scalps back. They were
don't be a dick.
People were, there was a little bit of a campaign.
Can I have our relative's head back, please?
Yeah.
No, it came over my wall. I've got it now. Yeah, but it's like our relative's head and we like to bury it.
Exactly. Well,
no.
Yeah. And this is something that has been a big issue in Germany anyway. There are a lot of, a few ethnographic museums are sort of starting to realise they've got these human remains and they're displaying them and they should be giving them back. And there's Namibians and stuff.
I think this is the interesting thing about this, because it is obviously just like a body part and we don't see body parts, but it is this kind of exotification that happens. So we don't, which is a form of dehumanization.
Yeah.
So people go there's scalps there. And you're like...
The process that the museum eventually had to go through was called rehumanization. They said it's a rehumanization and then a repatriation of this thing. And now they are finally, this week, after 100 years of having it, they've decided to give it back. And I talked to the museum director, and he was one of the board, and he was in favor of giving it back, but the rest of the board didn't want to give it back. And he said it took kind of a sea change in what an ethnographic museum is and what it should do, what its responsibilities are. And he said that it basically, in the 21st century, you can't just display things like this. You have to have if you're going to have an ethnographic museum, you have to have partnerships with indigenous groups and populations around the world. So he said he won them over the years, and they got an expert from a Saxony ethnographic museum who's also done repatriations, and they kind of got this another person in, and then so anyway, the upshot of it all is after 6 years they are going to give it back, and it's a bit of a happy ending.
It is. It's like many things, probably coming a bit too late, but it does seem like old white people might be learning something.
Yeah.
Surely, very late.
And they are
cost to others, but still learning.
It's quite a big museum. They get 50,000 visitors every year, and they're having it, and they're being refurbished. They're being redone.
Well, hopefully they're going to do it all differently and like you say, then maybe we could go
sensitive way.
We could go on a trip
to Radebeul.
I don't know. Maybe some other places we could go. But I liked that saga. That was good. I mean, it still had racism in it, but in a different way than what we usually cover. So.
Yeah, because it's not like the colonial racism, because it was
it's 100% colonial racism.
I know, but it wasn't
different.
For,
it's
German colonial racism. It's kind of
someone else's colonial racism that Germany's taken on, and is chosen that as the hill it's going to die on.
Yeah.
Yes. Were you anywhere else?
I didn't actually go to Radebeul.
You didn't go to Radebeul?
No.
I've got these two things mixed up in my head.
No, I went to Frankfurt.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I've written Frankfurter scalp in my professional notes.
Yeah, you're mixing two stories. The thing in Frankfurt that I went to was another Nazi trial. Would you like to hear about another Nazi trial?
Oh, by all means.
Another Nazi trial involving a defendant called Stephan.
Which Stephan is it now? B-E-C.
It's E. Stephan E.
Right. Maybe no more Stephans. Pregnant people of Germany for a little while. I think we might be done.
Stephan's a very different. Stephan E is quite a different Stephan to the Stephan B in Halle, because he's quite a lot older. He's like 47 now, 48. And unlike the one in Halle, he is very much like networked in the neo-Nazi community or in and around Kassel. It all happened in and around Kassel. He's the guy who, he confessed to murdering Walter Lübcke, the CDU politician, on his own doorstep in the summer of 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of...
And the reason given was just like because of the CDU's...
Well, specifically, he wanted to kill Walter Lübcke because he appeared in a video. He did like a town hall meeting.
The bastard.
Back in 2015, in which he defended the opening. He was talking about the opening of a new refugee home. This is when the refugee crisis influx was starting. And he was like talking to the people, and he was explaining why we need to build a refugee house there, and there were loads of AFD types there, and amongst them was Stephan E himself and another guy called Marcus H, who is also a defendant on the charge of accessory to this same murder. Anyway, this trial is still going on. I went to visit it, and it's been going on for about like couple of months, and it's probably going to end next month. I guess the most interesting thing about it is that the lawyers defending him, just repeated on me. I was talking too much. And,
it's hard to drink and talk at the same time.
It is. Yeah.
I was thinking this yesterday. I was on like one of these like walking dates that we all have to go on now out in the cold, first dates. And I was like, if there's one thing I would have thought I have learned to do by now, it's like drink and walk and talk at the same time. But no.
Yeah, we've all have to learn how to drink outside.
Well, it's really nice. Lots of little bars are doing like little Glühwein things, and you can go around Neukölln and like do like a little Glühwein crawl, and some of them have got really, really fancy ones and nice ones.
Oh, okay.
And we're actually planning to go to the Dorf later, aren't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tuesdays and Fridays at zum Böhmischen Dorf on Sanderstraße 11. Really nice Glühwein and generous Schüsse. And also something else with apples or something if you don't like Glühwein. It's also good.
You mean like cider?
No, it's like a hot apple thing with rum in it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that was the ad break in the middle of our Nazi trial saga thing. So because he was like quite networked and all these things, the guy he originally chose to defend him was himself one of the founders of Pegida. He's a lawyer called Frank Hannig.
So also a bit of a Nazi, probably.
Yeah, but they all started infighting. They've all fallen out now because
they're a pack of dicks, probably. They're not
too.
Nice lads.
But anyway, the rumor is, this is unconfirmed. This is basically that Hannig got Stephan E to confess. Then Stephan E. Stephan E. originally confessed. He said, "I did it, and I was there on my own."
Okay.
Then, perhaps allegedly under the influence of Frank Hannig, his defense lawyer, he retracted that confession and said, "Oh yeah, I was there, but in fact, Marcus H, my co-defendant, was the one who pulled the trigger and I did it accidentally during an altercation, like a fight." And then there was like loads of problems with this confession. Like, and everyone was just like, "This doesn't sound right because you've already confessed and now you decided there's someone else there." Then he retracted that confession and said, "I was put under the influence by my defense lawyer, and I don't trust my defense lawyer anymore, so I'm sacking him." So he just sacked Hannig, his original defense lawyer, and he brought in a new one. And then he said, and one of the people that was on the witness stand yesterday was the defense lawyer's assistant, a guy called Daniel Z. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say his name. I can't remember. It's press law in Germany. Anyway, Daniel Z, who is a member of a member of the AFD.
Oh, fuck's sake!
Who worked as his assistant, and they asked him like, "So did Frank Harnisch tell him to say that Hartmann was the one who pulled the trigger, because if your lawyer tells you to do that, that's illegal, that's against the law, and he's probably going to have to go on trial this
The
lawyer.
first defense lawyer, Harnisch.
Yeah, he's probably going to have to go on trial.
What
for
a
doing
fucking mess.
So, but here's the other mad thing, is that Daniel Z his job is he's a justice official, and he's been suspended twice now. The first time he was suspended, do you remember Chemnitz 2 years ago?
Yes.
Do you remember the reason why the Chemnitz trials originally, the riots originally happened, was partly because, this Iraqi refugee was accused of stabbing this Cuban guy, Cuban-German guy. Well, his arrest warrant was leaked onto the internet, and the arrest warrant identified him as a refugee. And that leak has been traced back to this Daniel Z, this AFD justice official. He works in the justice department in the state of Hesse.
Get him out.
And, well, he's been suspended. He was suspended at the time for that. And so he kind of instigated the whole Chemnitz riots and everything that happened by leaking this arrest warrant, which he wasn't allowed to do. And then now he's been suspended again because he assaulted
So he was reinstated after that.
He was reinstated, and now he's been suspended
How
again because he
do
assaulted
that?
a refugee.
How do you
in
get
prison.
reinstated if you leak? Is that not illegal to leak the arrest warrants onto the internet, or is it?
It's not a criminal. I don't think it's a criminal offence. No, I don't know exactly what the legal status of that is. But anyway, he was punished.
And then he assaulted someone.
He assaulted.
Fucking shocking.
Because he's in prison. He assaulted someone of foreign descent.
Because he's a nasty racist.
Yeah, but anyway, when he testified yesterday, he did not implicate his old boss at all. He just said he said, if anything, Stephan E. He was clearly trying to defend, protect his old boss from a future trial. Because when he testifies that, if he starts testifying that this guy, his old boss, got Stephan E. to implicate this other one in the murder, then he'll get into trouble. So that's how that played out.
It's just all of these, I don't know their stories, and I'm sure their lives have led them to this, but all these just low-minded, petty, angry, too much testosterone boys just fighting over everything and being really racist and horrible because it makes them feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And then innocent people just get shot on their doorsteps for really no reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and it's so gross.
It's just I don't. Yeah,
but again,
really
this is just Germany. It's everywhere.
But what the kind of the difference is between this guy, this defendant, Stephan E. from Stephan B. Stephan B. was this sort of archetypal loner who radicalized himself on the internet.
Yes, on the internet. And this is much more of a kind of old school, neo-Nazi network kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the same shit. They're just either doing it in Kneipen or they're doing it on the internet.
Yeah. And he was in a community, and he's got a wife and kids.
Boy weirdos better.
Anyway, so
stop telling them that their lives should be perfect. I don't know what we're fucking. I don't know. I have no idea. Don't name any more people Stephan for there's a fucking moratorium on that. Is that I always pronounce that wrong? Moratorium?
I think it's just moratorium.
Moratorium.
But we were remarking earlier about how good your German pronunciation is.
That's good because I can fucking barely speak English.
Speaking of which, can you read us the latest
yes,
regulations on fireworks in the city of Berlin?
Fireworks. I don't know if I have fireworks up here.
Oh, what are the
I have
regulations?
no. Wait. Have I? Oh God, it's just tabs and tabs of Informationen zum Coronavirus, COVID-19. Yeah, so Berlin, Germany in general, more. I don't have the fireworks, but there has been much discussion of the Böller Verbot.
Yeah.
Question mark. Fragezeichen.
Yeah.
This week. And what have we discovered?
Well, we've rediscovered that Germany people really, really love Böller at Sylvester, and they consider
it's
it an infringement of their liberty for there to be a a ban on fireworks.
Yeah, for people not living in Germany, it's hard to comprehend the level of sort of fireworks at Sylvester at New Year's. Like I don't think it compares to anywhere else. Like I've never experienced anything like that.
I mean,
To be fair, I've had a very, very limited like Western European and North American kind of experience of the world, but it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think American people on July the 4th go and throw fireworks across the street.
They 100% do, I think.
Do
and
they?
also fire guns into the air, but I think it depends sort of where you are. But there is,
Fire
yes,
guns.
it's like this kind of like
Well,
human...
in England,
Right.
on bonfire night, we do not throw fireworks.
Yeah, but you're famously minus crack, so... But no, even growing up in like war-stricken Northern Ireland where fireworks were illegal, I'm not even sure if they're even legal. No, you weren't allowed to get them, or you had to have a license. And my dad always had sort of like weird things. I think because he was a lawyer and he would like do favors for people.
Well, you got a license?
I don't know. He came around every Halloween with a box full of fireworks, a boot full of fireworks, and we'd be like, okay.
Well done, Dad.
Yeah.
What did you do with them?
Well, we set them off in our garden, and people do that in Ireland, but it's not even in the cities.
On
Like
which
it's
day?
Halloween.
On
The
Halloween?
31st, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I always wondered that. Like, what? No other country does on November 5th, do they?
No.
That's just a really weird English thing.
Yeah, well, you're celebrating like burning someone who tried to blow up Parliament. But I
Yeah.
also think it does come from that like pagan tradition of like Old Hallows Eve, like the two have blended together somewhat.
Yeah.
What on earth were we talking about? I'm quite drunk.
The Böller Verbot in Berlin.
Böller. So yeah, it's a big deal. Maybe fireworks happen in other places, but it's insane.
So they decided in Berlin that because they wanted to have a general Böller Verbot across the whole of the country.
Which is one of these things where I'm going to get a bit like, this is what they've wanted to do anyway, and now they're going to use Corona to sneak it in. So I'll just be over here signing up to QAnon. And you can explain.
The reasoning being that they needed to protect the hospitals during a pandemic, so they didn't want to overstretch the hospitals. But now they've, as a compromise, at least in Berlin, I guess every state and city has got their own rules, but in Berlin they have decided that certain zones will be designated as Böller Verbot zones.
Yeah, so all those places where like loads of people go.
Right.
I wonder if my usual place will be all right, because I am going to fire the fuck out of the last of 2020.
Are you going to where's your place? The
I'm not
Lormurenbrücke.
gonna fucking tell people. It's going to become a thing. It's going to be a thing, and then they're going to fucking verbot it. Fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if you know about it, the police know where people fire.
It's not that many, though.
Okay. Oh,
But no, and
Okay.
it's not often. I mean, let's hope that this does work and people are respectful and they find different places and maybe people go out of the city and la 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 la. It's not often I say that I do feel for the police, but that is going to be a rough shift.
Yeah.
It's always a rough shift. And then if you're telling people like, no, drunk, fucking coked up Berliners, or like, we want to say goodbye to 2020. Like those people on the roof of that skyscraper in Independence Day who are like trying to like welcome the aliens against their better judgment and get lasered. I do
That's
feel
how
for
you
them.
imagine the Sylvester of
Sort of,
2020.
yeah.
Well,
I think they've had to compromise on the Böller because obviously they've brought in now the sort of the maßnahmen. We know what they're going to be for Christmas, kind of, don't we? As in, well, our tile lockdown, our lockdown light, which they've stopped calling lockdown light and just called tile lockdown now, which I think is a pity. It's going until the 20th of December. Or now I'm looking at 22nd of December.
and then what's happening over the Christmas
And
period?
then apparently, so all the Bundesländer people came together and were like, okay, cool, what are we going to say? And so the fun times are being designated from the 23rd to the 1st. And everyone's like, 10 people. We could probably do 10 people, which I think is quite a lot. But then Berlin comes out. We're like, wait, 10 people, woo. Then Berlin's like, here, Berlin, you're fucking riddled. You are dripping with this fucking Rona. You can have 5 people.
Oh.
Up to whatever households, but you can have 5 fucking people.
Okay, so choose your friends carefully.
Well, I like to think of it as choosing your Christmas bauble.
Ah, very clever.
I've made that joke many times and it's always me just laughing the loudest. But yeah, so for the first time, I'm sure like a lot of people in Germany who are not from Germany, for the first time, it's going to be my 35th Christmas. That's going to be the only one that I don't spend with my family. But
Well,
I
here's the
will
thing, though.
spend it with up to 4 of my friends who are also, you know.
Well, but the thing is, aren't people just going to split up their Christmas holiday? So they spend it like 4 people on one day and then another 4 people on another day. Are you allowed to do that?
I think so.
Well, that's just like... Cause
And they're
if
saying you
come
should
from
quarantine.
A divorced home, like a
Yeah.
broken home, then that's what you'll end up doing. That's what most people end up doing anyway, don't they? They go like, a lot of people are like, I'm going to have Christmas with my mum.
Yes.
And then...
I
and
thought
then
it was
Boxing
actually
Day
going to
with
be
my
a
dad or
bit
something.
worse. And I guess, you know, you're not actually supposed to. I think you're supposed to literally like bauble up for the Feiertag sort of period.
Yeah.
And not see loads of people, but you can go and see people outside, or maybe you leave a few days in between visits for any sore throats or hacking coughs to
So for the
appear.
symptoms to develop.
Yeah. And so it's not just
Okay.
everyone is being together in the whole family for, you know, 36 hours, all fucking 15 of you or whatever.
Okay.
Either way, though, a lot of people are not being able to get home, and that's sad.
Yeah, it is. That's what I do.
But I think a lot of people are also like, I always wanted a Berlin Christmas. And then I was also like, yeah, but in my mind, that was Christmas markets and pubs. And the only thing that's going to be left of like, is just getting absolutely like no parents around, wrecked with my friends, like up to 4 of my friends in someone's apartment for like a week. It's going to be interesting. That's my Christmas plans.
That sounds lovely. I think it'll be the best Christmas ever.
I was talking to a friend and she's like, yeah, I just got a timetable. Everyone's like family Zoom chats to be done by like a good time. And then, yeah, well, when in Berlin.
Indeed. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't finished my Megacan.
All right. Well, you have to carry
Lots of Megacans for Christmas. I wish they would bring out a seasonal one.
on. I'm sure there is one. There's no seasonal Megacan? There's no like...
I'm sorry, have you met me? You think that there would be a seasonal, a Christmas-themed Megacan on the open market, and I would be ignorant of that fact? Are you kidding me?
I didn't want to...
Like, I'm shocked. I think on that note, while I batter Conrad with a microphone here.
There are Christmas beers. Why aren't there Christmas Megacans?
Well, exactly my fucking point.
There must be one. There must be one soon.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I've really not had my eye on the Megacans every week trying to find something new and exciting for your palate that doesn't taste of absolute cat's piss. Yeah, sorry. I probably missed it.
Okay. Yeah, but it's not...
2
Advent
things
hasn't
I'm
started
most
yet.
obsessed with are Christmas and Megacans.
But
It probably is. It's true. Like I say this, I have no idea. I thought that one that we were saying was new.
Yeah.
The other one, Gemma had it like 18 months ago.
Okay. But there must be like a... I mean, what I'm saying is that Advent doesn't start until this Sunday.
It
so
doesn't.
Maybe they'll bring them all out onto the market next week. I mean, they might be...
Yeah,
like
I'd imagine that
there'll be like the one with cloves in it or something.
we could just shove some cloves and a cinnamon stick into the guts of a Mega and see how we get on.
Yeah.
Ugh. Or just heat them up. I don't know. No. But yeah, Johnnie Walker and Ginger is quite scotchy.
That was a great one. Okay.
But it's delicious. Anyway, sorry. This is absolutely nothing that anyone needs to hear.
No, I think this was probably the most entertaining part of the podcast.
Just skip to the end. There's no Nazis. Have a safe and lovely weekend, everyone. Enjoy going for little Glühwein walks.
Yeah.
All the bars are doing little Glühweins. That's nice.
Stay in your bauble.
Stay in your bauble, or start selecting your bauble. Start looking around. You've got there's a fucking
Tough choices to make. It's like a
Tough
Hobson's
choices.
choice of friends.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to do a...
No, Sophie's choice.
What did you say? A Hobson's choice. I
I-
don't know. I know what Sophie's choice is.
Okay. But you gotta like be kind of brutal with your friendships. You gotta cut them down.
Yeah.
Especially if you're
Or just meet
sensible
outside.
person.
I'm fairly convinced if we're outside, we're fucking immune.
Good.
On that note,
On that note, thank you very much.
thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.